Hey guys, hope everybody out there is doing good today. Thanks for tuning back in, much appreciated. And the ragweed is in full bloom here in Southwest Missouri. Everybody's all sniffing and sneezing around here. You want to say morning?
Good morning.
You want to say morning?
Good morning. Good morning. And my dad wants to say good morning. Good morning.
The boys are out here with me this morning. We went down to yesterday down to Big Cedar Lodge down there and just hung out a little bit and did some bowling and did some walking around the lake. It was pretty fun over there. But anyway, today I just want to take a couple minutes, and it's been a while since I told a story, and I'm going to tell you guys a story about the time that I went out on Lake Erie on purpose in 50-mile-an-hour winds. Sort of a memorable thing that I'll probably always stay with me. But give you a little background on the story. It was 2009, and I was up at Lake Champlain. We were fishing the FLW tournament up there and heading back after that. This was on the way back home. And on the way back home, drove about halfway and pulled over to spend the night there. I think it was Erie, Pennsylvania, or Sandusky Bay. I can't even remember the exact place up there, but it was right on the shores of Lake Erie up there. And when I pulled in there, it was one, they were having one of those really odd, we got what's the matter? Okay, I got to put out a fire, just 1 second. Okay, back. So anyway, I pulled over to spend the night there at the shores of Lake Erie, and there was one of those weird straight line wind frontal deals coming in. It wasn't really a storm, but it was just a sustained wind out of the west at 40 to 50 miles an hour. I mean, it was super hard. It was one of those just freak straight line wind events like that. So anyway, got a room for the evening. It was probably about, it was early afternoon. It was, well, not early, but it was afternoon. It was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And anyway, I got looking out there at Lake Erie, and I got thinking, these winds blowing 50 miles an hour out there. I've heard these stories about how giant the waves get on Lake Erie. And I got this wild hair, and I just wanted to see what that looked like firsthand in a bass boat. So my plan was I was just going to launch and go out there until I got uncomfortable and come back, as far as, to where I thought it maybe wasn't safe. So I launched my boat in there, and this particular harbor that I launched in, it was positioned where as soon as you came out of the harbor, it wasn't exposed directly to the wind, and you had to get further out into the lake and the wind. So I launched in the harbor and started taking off north because I was on the south end of Lake Erie. The wind was blowing straight east from west to east, and I started out heading straight north, so I would be coming parallel to these waves that were coming. So I got out there, and as soon as I got out past the break wall, the waves were, they were rolling like 3 or 4 feet, and I got farther out there, and I got maybe, 3/4 of a mile or a mile out there, and they started getting bigger. They started getting, 5 and 6 footers, but they weren't tight. They were, a lot of distance between them. So I'm just just surfing through them like there. So I get out there a couple miles, and I start to get into the deeper water, and they start building, and they start getting giant. And these waves, these were the biggest I've ever seen. Once I got out there about 2 miles offshore, they started getting, 8-10 foot. But the 8 and 10 foot waves I'm talking about, it wasn't like I was running through the troughs of them. So I'd come up on one, and I'd just be going like this, and I was still driving like 25 miles an hour because the waves were positioned where they were so wide apart. But when I got out there deeper, like I got out there, where the water started dropping off into 30 foot of water, so that's when these waves really started getting big. The wind, again, is blowing 40, 50 miles an hour. And these were the biggest I've ever seen. It's hard to say how big they are, but they look like as tall as a house. I mean, they're giant waves. And the problem, once I got out there about 2 or 3 miles offshore, is the wind. There was zero protection, and the wind was blowing so hard that the waves on top, I'm guessing these were at least 12 footers, at least 12 foot waves. Again, I was surfing them, but when I got out there to deep water, the wind was so hard and the waves were so big that the tops of them started breaking over. So that's when I decided, I said, I got to turn back, because I said, I can't get to the crest, to the top of one of these waves and have it break over the top. That's when it was going to fill my boat with water. So as soon as those waves started breaking over on top, where I started seeing white water on top of them, and I'm talking, you'd be down in the trough in the bottom of a wave, and you'd be looking up, and it's like, it was almost like climbing a mountain. You know, I was in my 20-foot bass boat. So once they started breaking over, you know, I made the turn, came back in, and started running back into him. But it was the most I mean, I've had a lot of memorable experiences, but the sheer raw power of being out there totally exposed in a small boat with those giant waves is something I'll never forget. And I see guys all the time. I watch a lot of sailing channels on YouTube, and I just watched yesterday this dude in a 30-foot sailboat sailed across the Pacific Ocean from California to Hawaii. So, I mean, I'm sure he saw giant waves out there too. But the point of the matter is modern day bass boats can take giant waves if you know what you're doing, you know how to drive them. But it's like anything else in driving a boat, you have to know your limitations. You have to know your equipment's limitations, and that only comes from experience. But anyway, that was an experience I'll always remember. It makes you feel alive. There's nothing out there. I mean, I remember when I decided to finally turn back, when I saw that 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't know how big it was. It was like a mountain. But when I finally saw that thing breaking over on the top, I had said, man, I can't take it. I got to turn back so I can fish again another day sometime. So really neat experience. I wouldn't suggest it to everybody, but I'd suggest it for those that are a little adventurous and trust their own boat driving skills. So just a quick story wanted to share with you guys. Hope everybody's doing good today. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't. We're getting close to 45,000 subscribers, and when we do, got the big giveaway, a Bridge for Beef Jerky cases, a Seaguar fishing line. So appreciate your help getting 45,000. We'll talk to y'all later.